I've covered Maple Weekend for years, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about extracting that sweet nectar from a tree. But as Ben and Veronica Mady were quick to point out, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. I did something wrong.
Just don't try not to cut. Yeah, there you go.
It looks like nothing that you would see anywhere else in the world.
Sliding down through the labyrinth. Track is clear.
Fire!
Fort Ticonderoga's history stretches from the beginning of the French and Indian War through the end of the American Revolution. To help showcase that expansive history, the fort is set up in a different time period each year.
Hi, Beth.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Barry.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Super excited to be here, learn everything that goes on here. So what are we going to be doing?
This year is 1781, and we are telling the story of the British Army and Navy that was here at Ticonderoga, and you are going to be able to work with them today.
Excellent. I'm sure there's a lot of work to do, so let's get to it.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, we're here with Alan. You're going to give us a little bit of what life is like here at the fort.
So today we've got a regular sailor's ration of split peas that I've had soaking here for a little bit. They need a protein too. So what we have here is some beef.
How often did the health department come by during the time?
Not very often
Yeah,
at
I
all.
didn't think so.
Every day they got a gallon of beer, kind of like a supplement shake for the period. You know, you get a lot of carbs in that to keep you going for the day.
Huh. That's what I've been telling people. They don't believe me though. So are these all the ingredients we're putting in?
Yep, these are all the ingredients we have.
You know, got like a bay leaf or something we can throw in here?
Fortunately not.
Now, while that was fun, and I certainly learned a lot, I just didn't feel in character. But thankfully, the fort's seamstress was on call.
It does not go that way.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, Nick, what are we doing here?
So we're working on processing a log, eastern white pine log, and turning it into a useful piece of timber. And we make notches all the way down our beam, and then we take our axe and hit it sideways, we call slabbing. Now come in from the other way, do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be here all day.
You might.
How long is the shift in a normal day here?
Sun up to sundown. Just angle the blade in a little bit more. Good, good. And there it is. You start to create the flat side.
I'm signing up for a different job. Okay, I've been pressed into His Majesty's service, I guess.
Yes,
I've been handed a rifle.
A musket.
A musket, my bad.
Don't drop it.
There we go.
It belongs to the king.
Yeah.
All right? You're going to bite it right above the powder. You don't want to get the powder in your mouth. Tastes nasty. So bite it and spit it out. Don't be afraid. Spit it out. You're doing fine for a brand new recruit.
Yeah, it's my first day, so.
You're going to take aim out there.
Okay.
Fire!
There's not a lot of kick on that. That's good, yeah.
No, because we're using blanks.
Yeah, true.
Fire! And we come back just like that.
Excellent. I can't chew this. Is that normal?
Yeah, it's about normal.
Okay.
Sometimes you just kind of suck on a little bit and grind it with your teeth.
Yeah, it's not happening. I'll let that soak for a minute.
1, 2.
Okay, well, I can't thank you enough. This was amazing.
Come back next year, and we'll tell a whole other story, and you can keep training.
Perfect, I like it. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Off to find another job.
Henry Hudson's Half Moon arrived in Albany in the summer of 1609, and the area was forever changed. About 13,000 years before Hudson's famous voyage, an animal, one of the last of its kind, died along an unknown river that would eventually bear the name of the famous navigator.
Mastodons like to live in a particular type of habitat in New York State. They like to have lived in a boreal forest. Glacial cycles have covered the state with ice, and the ice has retreated. So the sediments and the fossils that we have of mastodon in New York are actually very recent.
Fast forward to 1866. The Harmony Mill Company along the banks of the Cohoes Falls was being built, and in a hole in the ground, there was a mastodon.
At first, just the jaw and a foot bone.
As the foundation to Mill Number 3 continued to be excavated, more and more bones were found. James Hall, the director of the New York State Museum of Natural History, was instrumental in its excavation and acquisition.
Hall went over and talked to the president of Harmony Mill Company, and they agreed that the museum would take that specimen over.
All told, the skeleton has been on display for over 150 years. It was accompanied by two friends, the Temple Hill skeleton and a furry replica, who for the last 40 years has been lording over the Cohoes Library. The mastodons didn't just sit around and look pretty, though. They've been telling us stories about their lives.
Looking specifically at the right jaw and at the left temple area, we know that this mastodon was in 2 separate fights throughout its life.
It was a death blow to the temple by a rival male's tusks that did him in. And speaking of temple,
both the Cohoes and the Temple Hill were dismantled and put into storage up in the collections.
The Cohoes skeleton was put back up in the 1990s, but the Temple Hill skeleton stayed hidden away. On the 3rd floor of the State Museum is an archival maze brimming with oddities from New York's past.
This is the zoology collections range. This has skeletons of mammals and skeletons of the Ice Age vertebrates. And in fact, this is the skeleton of the Temple Hill mastodon, the mastodon that was on display with the Cohoes from the 1920s to about 1975.
The Cohoes mastodon, though, still stands today, a reflection of the animal's strong history and stature.
It's visually stunning.
Legend has it, this distinct performing arts center was designed over breakfast.
The shape is very unique.
The building wears a girdle and has a core that goes 6 stories underground.
Mathematically, it's undefinable.
It also has a pretty thick shell. If you live in the capital region, you know it as the anchor to the Albany skyline, the egg.
Everybody wants to see the egg.
Basically, it is a concrete orb that houses 2 theaters.
Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller conceived it, and Wallace Harrison designed it.
At some place they're eating, it's either breakfast or their lunch. And Rockefeller, who's had this tremendous desire to design architectural structures his whole life, is sitting down, and Harrison is presenting him with a model of what the Empire State Plaza is going to look like. And he describes the tall buildings, and Rockefeller likes what he sees, but he's not completely happy. Harrison presses. And at a certain point, Rockefeller takes half a grapefruit and places on the top of a creamer or a cup and says to Harrison, can you build me something that looks like this?
That was the point of the egg, to try to break up the vertical lines created by the towers.
And so this abstract structure came into existence, sculpted from the imagination over breakfast.
This is a well-built building.
Well-built and cleverly constructed.
Although it looks like the building rests on top of that pedestal, the pedestal actually extends all the way through the plaza.
The weight is transferred all the way down through the core 6 stories underneath the plaza's surface. A pretty useful trick when you have some heft to you.
The shell of this building has 4.2 million pounds worth of steel in it, reinforcing the shell of the outside. That's not going to hatch anytime soon.
An egg weighing that much has to do something to keep itself under control.
The girdle that's referenced is a post-tensioned triangular-shaped beam that runs around the perimeter, and that creates compression around the structure like a hoop does to a barrel. That's what makes it work, ultimately. That girdle is a key part.
It took a special artistic touch to build the egg.
When you've seen the skyline of Albany, you know for the rest of your life what Albany is. Albany is the Empire State Plaza, and the Empire State Plaza is the egg.
But the strange form of the egg against the Albany skyline can hide its function.
We're driving the artists in in and they'll see the egg and they go, oh, what's that? And you go, that's where you're playing tonight. And they don't believe it till they get in.
The building is another form of sculpture. The structural system itself is actually the architecture. It's the art form that we see here. We interact with this artwork by being in it.
The egg isn't unique because of the art in and around it, but because it is a work of art itself, from its peculiar conception through its engineering to how we culturally bring it to life ourselves.